This is Chris Hansen.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
This is TJ Hushmanzada.
And I'm going to let y'all know something.
You're listening to
It Just Makes Sense.
It Just Makes Sense.
We are sports. We are nostalgia. We are pop culture. And we're funny sometimes.
I think overall we're just a good time.
They thought we couldn't do it. But guess what?
We're back.
Podcasts are free, and we can do whatever the hell we want.
Yeah.
We never knew what we were doing in the first place.
Yeah, that is a good point.
You kind of just know when somebody reaches up to squirt you to open up your mouth.
Squirt, yeah.
If you want the smoke, we'll give it to you.
I am like Draymond Green. I will pick a fight with a person that I know I can beat up.
Christmas is over, bitch.
Yeah. I didn't know that I was part of the joke.
You got to be an oblivious motherfucker to realize, you're a part of the
Oh,
joke.
this has got to be the first time in 4 seasons that people agreed with your take. And
non-sports
shocking,
take.
it's not sports.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay, and who are we
Speaking of
to
losing,
call people out on losing bets, okay? We suck at betting.
And remember, don't be afraid to fade yourself.
Okay. Top 3 ball catchers of all time for Patrick Mahomes. Top 2 ball catchers of all time for Ben.
Tyree.
I couldn't remember. So asking the 2 from Benny.
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely not Darius Stoney.
Yeah. He would.
You think?
Had he actually caught those, maybe. He was a nice healthy scratch, or injured scratch this week, I noticed. So didn't really help. Maybe he was the answer.
Give him a day off. 2 weeks of the
Ben
Bahamas.
Roethlisberger, I feel like it would have been, like Santonio Holmes would have been on that list.
You
right?
would think he's not one
He
of them.
wasn't.
Hines Ward.
Hines Ward's 1.
Yeah. Is that the other one that we're talking about?
That's number 2. Who's Roethlisberger's number 1?
Antonio Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
1 more for Mahomes.
Oh, we're doing top 3 for Mahomes?
Well, 3 for Mahomes, 2 for
Oh,
Ben.
okay. So a third one for Mahomes.
Because you can name the 2 from Mahomes easy.
Yeah, easy, right?
So now you got to.
I'm trying to go
Now you gotta
back.
actually think. It's a receiver.
Marcus Kemp. Leighton Lancer legend.
Close. How about this? Whoever gets it first between the 2 of you gets
$20.
to pick
Is on the receiving end.
gets to pick a shot for the person for the loser.
Is it that hard?
It's not. It's actually. He's on the current roster.
Current roster?
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not.
But he's still active in the league. I'm pretty sure he's still on the roster. I don't know.
Well, that's not helpful
He's
at
not.
all.
But I'm saying I'm trying to eliminate you guys going back far because he's not an old player.
Not an oldie. But possibly not on the roster. See, now that totally.
That makes
Because
it harder.
at this point, I don't think he'd be on the roster because if he were, he'd be on the field.
Yeah. So maybe
So
he's
he's not.
with the
He's
Chiefs
not
anymore.
on the team anymore.
I don't know who he's with.
Who is it?
Mecole Hardman.
Oh, yeah, he plays for the Jets.
Yeah, he's with the Jets now.
You dummy.
You dummy.
I'm a dumb. You guys
Straight
could
to the
fucking get
naughty
Mecole
list.
Brian
Hardman.
Pringle.
Straight to the naughty list for you, Juan Magoo.
Happy Christmas, Harry.
Were you guys good little boys for Christmas?
Yeah.
Good at boys, yes. Little not.
Not, yeah, as evidenced by the comments that we received. You buttheads.
Yeah, you assholes.
Yeah. You know, 2023 is another time. We'll see, or 2024. We'll see how it goes.
I think calling them buttheads would just get us made fun of more. You butthead.
Yeah, butthead
You
was
booger picker.
butthead was not the word that I had for this man today at Trader Joe's. Of all places, Trader Joe's. So I was teasing this story when we were when you guys first got here. I don't know if that 2023 is just like the year of fighting an old man, but that is what almost happened today, boys. So I'm there. We're looking to see if we could, get some deals. So we were at Home Depot before that, across the streets of Trader Joe's. We're thinking maybe 75% off Christmas stuff, whatever. But we wanted to see if we could cash in on maybe one little extra sleeve of the dark chocolate peppermint JoJo's or something like that. No luck there. Found some, spicy trail mix or whatnot.
Looking for Listerine treats, huh?
Yeah, you don't like. Okay, that's another conversation. But I'm there and I'm standing there's these end caps that have all like the clearance section there. And a guy comes around the corner. I'm just talking with Lindsay on the phone because I said, stay in the car. I don't know if there's going to be anything. If there's something in, I can either call you or I'll just come back and it'll be fine. Because we've got a child and getting him in and out of a car seat is a hassle. So I'm talking with Lindsay on the phone. And, halfway through that conversation, I get hit in the ankle and in the side by a shopping cart. And it's this old man.
Assault.
Yeah, honestly, it was an old man, white hair, white beard. He was a very
Santa.
Also short, but a short king, skinny Santa, wearing a Canadian tuxedo. So we're talking about jean jacket with denim pants. And and so I'm just standing there. I'm my feet are up against essentially this end cap. I could not be more out of the way for a person. So now he's hit me, and I thought it would be a friendly exchange, oh, no worries type of thing. He was like, fuck, he was like, get the fuck out of the way. I was like, excuse me, sir.
Sir?
Sir. No, I didn't say, I just go, bro, I'm standing here. I'm not in your way. And he mumbles something to me. I said, get the fuck out of here with your old-ass Canadian tuxedo. I was sharp on it, and I spit everywhere. I have never been so sharp on a comeback insult.
You said
ever
that?
in my life. Ever in my life.
I don't know, man.
I'm putting 100 on you. Did not say that.
I'm multiplying that by 5. I'm putting
sharp on
500
it.
that you didn't say that.
I know it sounds good. Probably
No.
when you got back in the car.
Lindsay was on the phone with me. I literally have just
we
a
have a
sound
witness?
witness.
But he's probably already gone.
I said it loud enough. But
he hit.
at Trader
Let's start
Joe's.
from the top.
Okay, start from the top now that you've heard my comeback. Okay, great.
He runs into you with his cart, and then you look over at him oh, you think it's an accident.
Correct.
So you're ready to be oh,
Yes.
not a big deal, bro.
Yeah.
And he says, get the fuck out of the way.
Yes, more or less.
He mumbled that. He didn't
He
say
said
that.
it loud enough for me. No. He legitimately was perturbed and somehow I was in the way. But I wasn't there around a blind corner or anything. I was on the long side of the other corner.
And
so
then
he had enough time to know whether or not I was
To
there.
evade.
To evade, yes.
And your response was, get the fuck out of here with your Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah, so I said,
Fuck Canada.
so he says that, and I go, I'm standing here, bro. And he mumbles something that I didn't hear. I said, get the fuck out of here with your old-ass Canadian tuxedo.
I hope you did.
Listen,
That's all I
I
gotta
hope
say.
you don't take offense to us not believing
I
it.
know.
But there's a pattern
I
of
know.
you getting in these altercations.
Yes.
And the anger doesn't come
Revisionist
out.
history.
It was not.
But the
I
ang-
swear to you,
Your
that's what I
anger
said.
doesn't come out this emotion doesn't come out until you're telling the story later.
Yeah.
It's all these things
No.
you want to say
Of what
in your
you wish
head.
you would have done.
Totally understand, and I am the I wish I would have said that. In that moment, I could not have been more on point.
Well,
And-
if you did that, I'm proud of you.
If you did that, I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
Yes.
it
That would
was-
be the right response.
For the sake of Christmas, I'll believe you.
Yes, thank you. It was, and maybe it was one of those things where I just it was so quick that it was I didn't have enough time to think about it.
Did you
or
get
anything.
hard?
Kind of, and then I'm so glad that I had Lindsay on the other side.
If you think about it,
at least we have
if you're the person that's man, if I could go back in time, I wish I would have said this shit, and you actually did that, the adrenaline that you feel getting back in your car and
Yeah.
you actually said that, you're probably you're in cloud nine.
I felt great.
Just like, man, I'm John Wick.
I have never been like that ever, and it felt great. And maybe it's because this is not our first run-in with an old, like an unreasonable old man this year. I mean, obviously for our P1s, you heard our story about the tailgate incident, the infamous tailgate of 2023.
Yeah, we are not ageist. If you want the smoke, we'll give it to you.
Yeah, listen, I am like Draymond Green. I will pick a fight with a person that I know I can beat up.
Okay.
Yeah. We all know that, Draymond Green has been considered a fake tough guy.
You should have ran back to Trader Joe's. You killed my dog? Did you kill my fucking dog, bro?
So it was like day after Christmas, bah humbug.
Well, if that happened, good for you.
Yeah. I am very proud of myself for how I conducted.
If that's how it went down, your dick grew an inch today.
It felt great.
It's always nice to have those moments the day after Christmas where people are like, they get into it. And it's like, Christmas is over, bitch.
Yeah. We've got a full, listen, we'll get a little reset here on this one day before.
We're in the depths of winter, okay? I'm depressed, overspent, overworked. I'll beat that ass.
Yeah, and you're in a Canadian tuxedo trying to blame me for
that's
being
a fit.
in your way.
That's a fit.
It wasn't a terrible look on the guy,
I think
but
you
you still got to call it for what it was.
I don't know. Maybe we'll all be different at that age, but maybe when you're old, when you're at that age, you just feel like you have nothing to lose, and you just kind of... You're not aware of what you are supposed to do socially, and you just kind of go...
Shooting from the hip.
Like, maybe you don't need to include this because I'm not trying to go
Santa.
Politically... A fucking political conversation, but...
He's my neighbor.
On our way to Ridgefield, like if you're familiar with Ridgefield, Washington, when you exit off of Pioneer, there's... apparently this has been happening because my cousin's a cop there, and he told me that they've had to, shoo these people away. But on that bridge, there's American flags everywhere, and it's these people that's like, fuck you if you're a Biden supporter. They're like...
Oh, sure.
And there's... So on Christmas Eve, December 24th, at 4 or 5 p.m., we were heading out to my aunt's house. There's a lady on the corner where, a homeless person would be standing to beg for money. She's an old white-haired lady standing there with a sign that says, if you're a Biden supporter, F you.
Oh.
I'm like... On December 24th.
And she was just standing there with the sign.
She was just standing there.
She's hot in the streets.
I'm like, you couldn't take this day off?
Yeah.
Christmas Eve?
People would be okay with you if
be
you
here on
took
the
this day off.
26th, but the 24th,
Right.
you have nothing better to do. You're so miserable,
And,
whatever
I mean,
political alliance you have.
If she's holding that sign, she most likely believes in Jesus. So it's like, come on, you got to...
It just turns out her Jesus is a different Jesus.
Yeah.
It was just
Seems like you would
mind-blowing.
take the day before Jesus' birth off.
It's crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
They have a full spread. It's like you're going to a recruiting booth. They got flyers and shit on the side of the bridge. I'm like, who's stopping here to get a free lanyard or some shit? What is happening?
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen those certain people at college campuses, too, with their megaphones and everything. But, yeah, they're just Ridgefield, Washington exit. Mm-hmm. What a time.
Oh, you go by anytime. They're there. If they're there on the 24th, you'll catch them any day of the fucking week.
You know what's also something that they could have done, and I'm sure that not a lot of people would have stopped to remove it, is just putting a sign in the ground. They didn't physically have to be there.
They feel that strongly about.
But it's all about the interaction. They love getting the piss and vinegar going.
Right. They want that. They want that. They want it hard. Hard.
To your point, we would beat your ass. I don't give a fuck if you're 80.
Well, Merry Chrysler to you guys.
I will Justin Tucker
Merry
your nuts,
Chrysler.
bro.
You guys get some good... What was your favorite gift that you got? Not if you could single one out, but what was your favorite gift? Anyone?
I don't have any favorites. I think probably the funniest gift I got, and probably the most memorable, is I got an electric knife that was in the shape of a miniature chainsaw.
I love that.
And it came with, I forget the villain. It's Jason or...
yeah, it's Jason.
With the hockey,
Jason's
with
with
the
the
goalie
mask.
mask. So it came with the goalie mask and it...
And a chainsaw.
Yep. So...
It would come in handy for your brisket.
Yeah, no, I mean,
brisket
I
and fucking
legitimately will
prime
use
rib.
it. Absolutely.
Bring it to a Beaver game too, because of the connection there with the third down
Well, I don't know if
chainsaw.
they'll
We
allow
only
us to
slice meat
bring-
on third downs. Dude, I'm fucking starving, man. We gotta wait for third down.
It's a working knife, so
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll let me bring it in.
You
but
know, next year they'll allow anyone into a stadium.
yeah, maybe I
That's
can
it.
take the knives out. You can remove the knives. I can just bring it.
Yeah, I'll bring my bug assault, and we'll just be.
Yeah, weapons.
I'm so excited about a bug assault. Have you
Yeah.
guys ever seen these in action or used one? They're
I've
magical.
seen them. I'm just
I've
saying.
seen you try to hit animals with guns. I don't think you're gonna be.
But it's bird spray. You know, it's like
Yeah.
bird shot, but
Yeah.
with salt.
Also,
I
That
feel like
flies.
this-
So I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
This tool is just you're gonna use bugs as an excuse, but it's just gonna end up in food. The last thing you need is more salt in food. It's like, oh, I'm trying to hit this bug. Oh, it's in the
It'll
scallop
be my
potatoes.
gimmick. It'll be my
Whoops.
gimmick. Hey, you need salt? I got you, boo. It's
Yeah.
embedded into your meal now.
We had
Never
scallop
thought about
potatoes last night for Christmas dinner.
that. I
and-
love a good scallop potato.
And
Clearly.
Jara and I took a bite of it, and she looks across the table at me and goes, "Did Pete make these?"
Oh, no. She did not.
Yes, she did.
She did
Because
not.
they were way too salty.
Oh, gosh.
Peter, why are you surprised?
I didn't know that I was part of the joke. I just.
You got to be an oblivious motherfucker to realize,
No,
not
but,
realize you're a part of the joke.
No, but I was part of the joke and I wasn't even there.
Yeah. When things are too salty, we say, "Did Peter cook this?"
Damn it. Well,
It's not gonna change anything.
I know. Yeah. Do you think it's gonna change? I have a salt gun now. You guys just can't even. I got a drone for Christmas. Very excited about that, but also excited for all the bug zapper stuff.
Miguel got his first boner.
Congratulations to
Yeah.
you.
It's been a while.
Yeah, you got a money clip, right? That's very exciting.
I did. I don't know if I could pick one. I mean, Ashley does a great job with gifts, even though it's last minute because we said that we weren't going to get gifts for each other.
Right.
And then I make a face like, I got you something. So she's like, I've been talking. I talk about stuff. When I really need something, I get it. But as you guys know, when people get me stuff that I really need, it's so special that it takes me forever to use it. It's like I see it there. It's on my nightstand. And I'm like, this is a great one.
Can't use it.
I'll use it when the one I'm currently using is completely unusable.
Okay.
Because I'm savoring the moment to use the new stuff. So this wallet that she got me, it's gonna be a while. I'm gonna wait for this shit to break down. But it's the metal money clip that has room for all of your cards. And I'm no longer I always do this, like check in for my wallet, but it's gonna be clipped in there now. But we also didn't expect to get as many gifts from my family as we did. I mean, we got probably my favorite one is this really expensive blanket that's so fucking soft.
For the bed or for like snuggling?
I mean, we've already used it on the bed. We use
Oh.
it for the couch, but it's a fucking Ralph Lauren blanket that's like
Sweet.
not cheap. My mom got me I'm now a Carhartt person. She got me a Carhartt hoodie.
I got my first Carhartt this year.
And
It's a
Welcome
bag,
to,
but
welcome to the club, boys.
Yeah.
But you grab like
Love it.
I've never owned anything Carhartt, and it's been like a
nice.
trend, right? I grabbed that shit out of the bag. You can tell this is not cheap.
Yeah.
Carhartt hoodies cannot be cheap. It was so well made.
Nice woven.
She found it in my size, which is a 4X. I'm like, this shit's gonna keep me. This is gonna be too hot.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna fucking keep me warm. But she got a nice purse. But the coolest thing outside of what Ashley got me, she also got me like a leather bound book, like a planner.
Did she make the paper herself?
No, but it's really fucking nice. I'm like Ron Burgundy with like leather bound shit. But my cousin Maureen, who's 23, she used to be the baby of the family. She made these custom photo albums for all the cousins that had all the pictures from when we were like, when I used to shave my eyebrows. I used to trim them.
Really?
So some of the photos, they
Your
were
little pencil
super
eyebrows?
light.
Yeah.
No, they're just super light. I was
gotcha.
like, that's when I was like 19, and I used to wear the really baggy like Inichi and Pepe jeans with my hood up, my fucking earrings and all this shit.
What made you like do your eyebrows though?
I used to think they were super thick, so I would get like the 4 attachment, and I would trim them. So you can tell in photos how light they were. I look so stupid.
Surprise cat. We have the garage
Oh,
door
there he
open.
is.
There's a surprise cat.
Come here, kitty.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
But yeah, the
Yeah,
photo,
just hang out.
the nostalgic photo thing was pretty cool.
It is interesting. Like, I mean, I understand how much space a photo album takes, but just like right around like holiday time or whatever, just being able to pull out a nice, unexpectedly pull out a few albums and look through them.
Yeah.
That is pure nostalgia, and
Yeah.
it's something that is kind of lost on probably our
I
generation.
will
that a lot of
always
people-
appreciate stuff like that. I'm never.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm like a mild hoarder. I don't throw stuff away.
Right.
But there's stuff that I never view it as like taking up space or just trash. Like my senior year yearbook, I must have looked at that a million times just to like remember the signatures and the messages and all that. That's why I appreciate looking through photos and watching old videos. And probably the thing I'm most excited about
Cat.
for our actual wedding day is to be able to go after and like look at the guest book and look at like
The
that's
physical things. Yeah.
like Ashley's doing most of the planning and I have input, but I have been looking more at like the stuff I'm gonna remember after. I was like, oh, which cool like guest book idea could we do, or like what photo booth type shit we could do, because that's the stuff I'm gonna keep looking at after just to remember it.
There was one nice thing, like when we had the fire at our house back in 2018, like we just had everything digital. So like we lost so much stuff, but we were still able to like preserve those photos, which was kind of a nice boon. But again, having a photo album, you can really like take a trip down memory lane there. Like you can't do that with your phone. You can't just like throw photos. I guess maybe you could, but I don't know if it has like the same effect.
It
You just
doesn't
run
have
through
the
a
same effect, but
slideshow
you
on
also
your phone.
you kind of take it for granted how important photos are when you start like missing moments or people. Because I remember before the digital age of like having this cloud that holds thousands of fucking pictures, when I was like 7 years old or 8 years old, the house next door to us in the Philippines caught on fire. So at like 4 a.m, everyone's waking us up to like go outside. My grandma only grabbed two things: photo albums.
Yeah.
2 boxes of photo albums. She didn't grab clothes or any expensive like vases or any, shit that we have at the house. She grabbed pictures. That's all she grabbed.
Right.
That's like something I took away. It's like these are things you're always going to look at and like memories.
Well, and I think I saw something like on Instagram recently where it's like the iCloud and having stuff on your phone is nice, but if you think about, two generations from now, your grandkids, after you're gone, how are they going to get access?
How are they going to
your
memorialize you?
iCloud?
Yeah, for sure. Mhm.
How are they, unless you make sure that before you die that your children or your grandchildren have access to all these things,
For sure.
which most of the time you're not going to. You don't know when you're going to die most of the time. It's like, how are they going to get access to this stuff? So it's really just kind of a hoax. Like, yes, it's a good place to save all these things, but like to think that it's going to create, this kind of, place where people are going to be able to have memories of you and get access to all this stuff is kind of not true. They're going to need your passwords and emails and all this different stuff. It's like, I feel like photo albums will pretty much always be pretty sentimental and valuable. And that's something that Jared and I have just recently gotten into. For the wedding, I put together, or she and I put together, the first photo album of just like my pictures and stuff I've like never seen, which was really, really cool. It holds a lot of value to me.
No, I completely agree with that. And it kind of answers the mystery for Ashley. And she's like, you hate taking photos. It's like, why do you hate taking selfies and pictures so much, but you have such an affinity for photo booths? Anywhere we go that has a photo booth,
physical picture.
I'm like, we gotta go. Like, why?
We almost stopped at a random bar on our way to karaoke because the karaoke place didn't have a
Why
photo
are you
booth.
so desperately interested in photo booths, but you hate taking pictures? And I think just subconsciously, that's my answer. It's like, I have the physical thing that I could save and put in between my little journal now, instead of like in your phone.
Yeah, and we all appreciate when Mitchell has his like old timer camera
Yeah.
as well.
He's got a few rolls of film he's got to develop.
Yeah, he sure does. But I wonder if this is now a business idea that we need to make sure that, like, would you pay, like, here, you can upload every photo, maybe not every photo, but you can upload all these photos and just have, like, a lifetime thing, and then someone's going to lose the link, or you'll have to have the right database.
That exists in a million different ways right now.
Well, and it's
thing
a good,
of originality.
Don't take this idea, because I think I'm going to do it next year, is that's such a good idea, especially for our friend group, is like just, what's the word? Putting together all of, because we've all been friends. Our group has been friends for many, many years, and we have so many photos together. It's like being able to make like an album for everybody to have. That would be so cool.
That would be pretty neat. Sounds like we've got some work to do.
Yeah,
I think that's.
But this whole podcast thing's working out pretty well.
The places like Shutterfly does that.
Yeah,
well,
and it's so easy now with iPhone. You can literally just search like friends, and it will go through. Or like my phone has facial recognition for you guys, so I can type in Peter or Miguel, and it will bring up all the pictures that you guys are in with me. And like, if we were to all kind of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Put them in one place.
Crowdsource?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but put them in one place and basically just create an album that we could all have. Like, that would be so fucking cool.
Yeah, there's probably so many photos that we don't know exist.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
We should go through them first.
Yeah, but I mean, I was saying that, like, whether or not this podcast thing works out or not, but we got some of our stats. We were in 19 countries this year, so congratulations, boys. Maybe our Frankfurt, Germany friend has either told someone about the podcast, and
we have
they're
two
both.
listeners.
I don't know, but I do know that there are more listens in Frankfurt, Germany this year than there were episodes this year.
Wow.
So either that person has listened, the one person in Frankfurt, Germany has listened to us, the same episode, multiple times, or they have now told a friend, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
No, you know what's crazy? It's like it's like none of us three will turn away an opportunity if someone was like, you guys can start making like real income where you don't work to do this, because that's the fucking dream. We're gonna drink and talk about random shit and sports, but really the ultimate reason we do this is because it's fun. It's an excuse to get together.
Yeah.
But then you see some of the numbers, like we started doing like the short TikToks and Instagram Reels, and we've seen that blow up on TikTok. That shit is going nuts on the Reels.
Mm-hmm.
Our TikToks do really well, too. To think that we have TikToks that are at over 130,000 views.
That's pretty fun.
Like,
I mean,
that's
Polar
Express. How many people
one,
can you fit in the big house?
108,000, I think.
So more people than you can fit into the Michigan Stadium have watched our TikTok. That's nuts.
It is pretty funny that there was a someone who also recently looked at Polar Express as a chaotic movie, and this has 154,000 likes. So this person stole our idea and was just, I don't know if I'll play
this
the whole
guy's pretty
thing.
funny, though.
He is pretty funny. He does a lot of stuff where he just like does a play-by-play of what happens on Seventh Heaven, which is just unhinged as well. But he did a video. Let's just play a little bit of it. The tagline is, "The Polar Express is the train ride from hell," which, yes, sir, I agree. You copied our idea from last week.
I think I need a drink. So this kid, who has this one expression the entire movie, doesn't believe in Santa. So a magic train picks him up at his doorstep to take him to the North Pole. Now, this is a train you do not want to be on. It is a nightmare to be on this goddamn train.
Yes, it
there are all these rules about like tickets and being on time. Like, it's very stressful for a magic train.
Yes, it
these
is.
kids are constantly near death. Like, they are slipping and sliding and dangling. The train is also plagued with malfunctions. They were like, how are we going to adapt a 35-page book into a feature-length movie? It's animated and magic, so the possibilities are endless. Let's do mechanical issues. There's also a character who lives on top of the train named Hobo, and he represents the Christmas spirit. I still have no idea what they're trying to say here. We finally get to the North Pole, and it's cool.
Yes.
Like, it is magical.
It's
There's
very
elves, technology. At the North Pole, they have these bells that you can only hear if you believe in Santa. And he's the only one who can't hear them. Like, you don't believe in Santa right now, like after the train ride and the flying elves and everything. So now he can finally hear the bell, and Santa gives it to him as the first gift of Christmas. But the kid realizes on the train ride home that he lost the bell. Also, through the movie, the conductor has been stamping mysterious letters on their tickets. Like, what could it all mean? And it ends up spelling learn and believe. Like, all that build-up for that. Like, you might as well just not have done it. The kid gets the bell back because Santa leaves it under the tree for him. And he can hear the bell, his sister can hear the bell. But then the parents grab the bell and they're like, oh, it's broken. So they both don't hear it? Like, I'm sorry, what? Like, who do you think has been putting presents under your tree? Like, do they both just think the other parent has been doing Christmas every year? You two need to communicate more. Like, is this marriage okay?
I will say that when you brought this up, we didn't agree with you. Well, I mean, he didn't agree with you. He's actually seen it.
Blame him.
No, but I haven't seen it. But I'm like, what are you talking about? This is another one of your takes.
Did you watch it?
No. But
Okay.
But there are people who agree with me.
but everyone
wholeheartedly.
on the comments were on your side.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, this has got to be the first time in 4 seasons that people agreed with your take. And
non-sports
shocking,
take.
it's not sports.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Because then, like, I think we had several comments on there, and I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, it's a dark, creepy-ass movie. But we do love The Grinch, but this is creepy as shit.
It is creepy as shit.
And I said maybe I need to watch it again because I haven't seen it.
It's a
But the
stressful
Grinch,
movie.
the Grinch, it is step too far. The Grinch is an incredible Christmas movie.
It is.
And I was thinking about it. All Christmas movies, the reason that they're Christmas movies is because bad things are happening, negative things are happening, and because of Christmas and the spirit of Christmas and all the joyous things that surround that, it all becomes better.
Billy Bob Thornton, Bad Santa.
Yeah, maybe that's what makes the Christmas movie.
I wish you guys would do this for me.
Have you seen this video? Yeah. It's very incredible. You guys were talking about your favorite. Well, thank you once again for all the people who agreed with me in the comments. One win for me. I'll take it right at the end of the year.
Thanks for all the views, too. I mean, honestly, we might be, if we were professional football players, we might be new heights. It's just we weren't NFL players, but we're getting the fucking views. So
I think,
thanks for all the follows.
I think we should be thankful for everybody who has listened, whether this is your first episode or you just follow us on whatever social media. We are so appreciative. I remember when we sat around a fire in Silverton or wherever we were.
Silverton,
and
Oregon.
we kind of, it was at the beginning of COVID, kind of like COVID was just about to kind of come around the corner.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, what could we do? What would be something? I think Miguel asked me if you could do one thing with your life that made you enough money where you didn't have to work again. And I was like, I would love to do a podcast, especially with you guys. Like, that would be so fun. And I said, if anything, if it didn't amount to anything at all, we made no money, which we haven't.
But it's still fun.
But the only reason we did it is every week we got to hang out just once a week for a couple hours to have drinks and bullshit. That would be enough. And for 3 years now,
almost 4.
It has been more than enough. I love doing this with you guys. It is one of the things that I look forward to most of my week, and we wouldn't still be doing it if we didn't get these comments, if we didn't have these viewers, if we didn't know in Germany that there was some random motherfucker who is watching this. So we greatly appreciate it.
As fun as it has been and still is, who would have thought we'd be in 19 countries?
Yeah, that's
not me.
Pretty wild.
With fucking people listening to us who don't speak English.
Yeah, not me.
I mean, that's crazy.
And the introduction of our YouTube page has also paid off as well. So we very much appreciate everyone. We're so thankful for you guys.
Merry Christmas.
But you're not true
Happy
fans unless you come
Hanukkah.
to our live show.
Yep, January 10th.
6 p.m. at Jimmy's Sports Bar.
Be there or else we're
Fly
cutting
into
you off.
Portland if
Yeah.
we're
Cutting you
not
off.
here.
Listen, if Frankfurt person reaches out to us, I might pay for
we'll
that.
buy your drinks.
I think
We'll
buy
do-
their drinks. We'll buy their ticket.
We'll do our
find a
best.
way. We'll finance you. We'll crowdsource this whole thing. But yeah, so the clip that I have up is a group of people sitting around giving, talking about their
I think
best
it's
Christmas.
called a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably a family. A family of people who all
group
look
of-
exactly
A group of personages.
Yeah, a bunch of white people.
They all look similar.
Yeah, a family. I asked you guys about your favorite Christmas present. I'm not sure if this was this gal's favorite Christmas present, but it is definitely one of the best. We'll describe it to our listeners here in a moment, but for our YouTubers, you can see. All right, this gal's opening a present. It is a canvas. It is a print. It's a painting.
Of her mugshot?
And it is a picture of her mugshot on a
That's
canvas.
incredible.
So good. She looks disheveled.
I mean, good point. There's only one person we can do this for. I don't know why we haven't thought of this shit.
Yeah. It's so funny. You know who gave it to her. It was that guy.
That's a great gift.
People are just absolutely stunned. So.
Memories.
Yeah, the memories. Maybe we'll find our way to get ourselves.
Let me see if we can find Braxton's.
It's hard to find nowadays. That was a long time ago.
Nowadays, now that freaking Biden has pardoned everyone and anyone who's
Except me.
ever had a marijuana offense. So
I hope I'm included in
back
that.
in the day. You guys were talking about New Heights here just a second ago, and there was a clip from the New Heights podcast that I absolutely could not have this week. And it is Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce, obviously, talking about in their portion of the No Dumb Questions segment of their show. There are a good number of things that are kind of unique to football, just about nuances or whatever. Like when they had a bunch of new Swifties come on, they were asking like basic questions. But this one, I felt they took it and ran with it very well.
Joe DeFran, why don't players squirt their own water?
Hey,
that is such a good question. Honestly, somebody comes up to me with it already like right here.
Yeah.
And all they got to do is just go around from person to person and just like, do you want one? I can shoot you real quick.
Yeah.
It's way easier than handing the bottle and handing it. I don't know. It's maybe not that much easier, but it is convenient.
You kind of just know when somebody reaches up to squirt you to open up your mouth.
Squirt, yeah.
And then you just get squirted. But you don't always, they don't have to do the squirting. You can do the squirting sometimes. But, when you develop a relationship, you just know when you're about to get squirted on.
You develop the relationship.
Yeah.
You got to have a good relationship with this person squirting.
Yeah. You don't want to just be letting randos squirt on you. I'll let a teammate squirt me sometimes.
That's just a good teammate.
Yeah. I'll squirt you guys if you need one.
I'm Trainer Trav, man.
Trainer Trav.
I got that thing right on the hip. Just need one, dude?
Yeah.
I got you.
My pet peeve, sometimes they don't screw the lids on all the way.
Oh, yeah.
It pisses me off
Right
when
down-
they just
right
right down. Come on, guys. We embarked on this avenue of trust.
This avenue of trust.
I opened my mouth to accept your squirt, and you dumped it all down my chest.
So there you go.
That is, obviously it's a time efficiency thing,
Yeah.
but
It's
come on.
odd. Yeah. It takes like guys who are making hundreds of millions of dollars and saying you can't drink your own water type of thing. I get it though.
Yeah.
And especially during height of COVID and everything, it's just
But they've been doing it long before that.
right. Literally a person's job in part is to squirt a professional athlete.
Yep.
I think it's less about them not wanting or not being able to do it, but you watch the NBA, no one's squirting them. Mm-hmm. They grab the bottles and they squirt themselves. But in the NFL, it's got to have something to do with you adjusting your gear during timeouts. You're wearing a glove, you're having to put your mouthpiece out, and you're wearing a helmet which blocks it.
And they have less timeouts.
Yeah, it's probably a lot easier for someone. That's why they have those people, because there are little factors where your hands in the fucking warmer, your gloves, whatever, you're adjusting it. So I get it.
Yeah. Are there nuances to maybe any sport, maybe not just the NFL, where you're just kind of where you've kind of wondered why this specific things exist. For me, I will say, why do MLB managers have to wear the pants? Why do they have to wear a full uniform? Why do they have to wear a full uniform where there's just like old saggy balls are just in this like MLB uniform?
I don't know if it has anything to do with their balls. But,
but still, like, there's no reason why they need to be dressed like that.
But I think, because I agree with you, but then you think, what's the alternative? If they were to wear athleisure wear, that's weird. A suit, weird.
But I mean, like, it's not like terribly
Sweats.
weird that like Mike
That's
McDaniel.
athleisure.
Mike McDaniel is wearing a sweatsuit with his little pants up every game, and we're not bothered by that.
But again, think of the environment. You're in the dugout.
Yeah.
When you're on the side of a football field, that's a different environment, different backdrop. You're in the dugout. I guess you could get away with just wearing sweats.
But your question is more of the uniform. Why do they have to wear what the players are wearing?
Yeah.
Not necessarily athletic shit. Like, I wouldn't have a problem with them being in a hoodie and sweats. That's fine. You're not out playing.
What if they wore like a jersey untucked? They got the baseball cut on it, and it has manager or whatever last name on it, and then they just wear like joggers.
That's
I
fine.
feel like
I think the problem is with the tight pants. Like, why are you wearing the pants that the players wear?
Right.
I
Like,
don't get
why
it.
not just be in cozy gear?
Why are you in pinstripes?
Yeah.
I think honestly, if we dig deep enough into all of the random questions, I think majority of it's gonna fall on Major League Baseball.
Maybe. There's a lot of weird stuff
But like,
in baseball.
why are they allowed? What's the need, and why are they allowed to chew?
Yeah, I feel like they've tried to get rid of that, but people have
But
found
like,
a way around
imagine
it.
if NBA players did that.
If they dipped while...
You got
Yeah.
fucking Zins, you got your chewing. Like,
I'm sure some of them do. Zins especially.
sure, but why is it so universally, widely accepted with Major League Baseball
Mm-hmm.
that you're chewing?
Well, I think mostly in baseball, but in all sports, history.
Sure, yeah.
It's just that's how it's been, and especially because tradition is so valuable in baseball specifically. It's like they don't want to fuck with what they've been doing.
Did you guys see the NHL announcer who accidentally took a swig of his partner's
Dipspit?
dipspit?
Oh, that's the worst. I've
Yeah.
done that. Have you done that?
And
I have done that.
I don't know how I've gotten so lucky not to do that, but I've never done it.
I did that during a poker tournament,
oh,
and I
that's
grabbed.
immediate projectile vomit.
I left my money. It was my Bud Light sitting next to the Bud Light chew bottle spit, and I grabbed it and I took a swig, and it was immediate fucking. It was someone's saliva that just spit in there. I got up, I left my chips, I started forcing myself to throw up outside,
no. Yeah.
and then I just went home.
I wouldn't
it
have to
ruined my
force
entire
myself.
fucking night.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done that, thankfully.
It's gross.
Let me see if I can pull it up very quickly.
I feel like
you can kind of understand how this goes, though. I don't know if there's any audio to it, but it is I believe it is the analyst who decides that he's going to take the drink. There's the drink.
Oh, yeah, I know how that feels.
And then, like, the play-by-play announcer just has to go completely like nothing ever happened. Apparently, this happened months ago, but they, didn't want to make it.
I wouldn't be
a
able to
thing.
continue. Is this guy just clueless about what happened?
I think he knows, but he's the play-by-play announcer.
Yeah, he's
and
got to keep it going.
in hockey, play-by-play, you have to be like going, right? Like you have to. Doc Emmerich was so good. He was like a radio guy on TV. For anyone who knows or follows hockey, but yeah, you can't miss
sucks.
a beat there.
That sucks. I hate that. That's the worst feeling.
So, yeah, luckily have not had to endure that.
I've not grossed out by a lot of things, but that's one of the worst things that ever happened to me is drinking that chew spit. It's fucking gross.
Yeah, it's gnarly.
No good.
There's little particles in there of the thing with the saliva, and it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gross.
I do wonder if the alternative could be a nice Pop-Tart. And I'm not sure if you guys saw, and I'm sure that the answer is absolutely
Pop-Tart?
yes. Yeah, a good old Pop-Tart as an alternative to a
You're gonna
chew
lip
spit.
Pop-Tart?
That is not the same. You're
No,
just
it's-
eating a Pop-Tart in the outfield?
I'm just terribly transitioning here, which was, remember we talked back a few weeks ago about how there was going to be an edible trophy for the bowl game. The Pop-Tart Bowl was going to be an edible trophy. We saw, people for the Potato Bowl, they dump a whole thing of French fries for
Duke's
the
Mayo
Duke's
Bowl.
Mayo. They douse them in mayonnaise
Is
as
it
well.
just Pop-Tart on a trophy, or the whole trophy would be
Right.
edible?
And so this one actually, they revealed it, is a trophy where, you have two tiers, kind of like a cake. There's a couple of like metal plated Pop-Tart looking things. And then you have a football, very much like the Lombardi trophy, but like in between, like right on the other side of the seams is what looks to be like a toaster insert where you can place the Pop-Tarts into. And so people today are talking about how this is the greatest trophy of all time, right? Like, I mean, you used to have the Duke's Mayo one where you had like, literal,
That's just gross.
mayonnaise in it.
Doo-doo.
What do you guys think of this? I want to get your thoughts, and then I have my response.
I'm not against it.
yeah, it's
I mean,
pretty
it's
cool.
not like I don't love or hate Pop-Tarts.
But how come it's not like a 10-pound Pop-Tart?
Easy, Pete.
Yeah.
Jesus
Gives
Christ.
a fuck.
It should have been a 10-pound Pop-Tart that everyone could literally walk around and you could take a bite out of it. And then you give them like a general trophy that just says Pop-Tart.
This is still a pretty cool trophy. You can put Pop-Tarts in the
Do you
trophy.
think, I mean, as an audience, yeah, you would enjoy a massive life-size Pop-Tart, but that's not something that the teams would be able to keep should they win the bowl game.
That's true.
Like, you're going to put that in a glass case? That's how you get ants, Barry.
People were like, "Oh, is this the greatest trophy of all time?" And I legitimately thought that the trophy was going to be
I think
gigantic
that's
Pop-Tart.
that's enough of
Stealing
a
one of these.
ode to Pop-Tarts. I think that's good enough.
Ode de Pop-Tarts.
The only thing they could do to make it even better is that's an actual toaster.
Was it?
a
Didn't we?
battery-powered toaster.
If that was a legit toaster,
Yeah,
would
that would be
sweet.
something.
They might
Didn't
be
one of you
legit.
say that you hadn't had Pop-Tarts? You
I've
said
never
it?
had a Pop-Tart.
I feel
Yeah.
like you'd love them.
Next pod. All right. A little New Year's Pop-Tart.
Better have ground beef and sour cream in
It's
it.
not an
That's called an
empanada.
empanada. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That I've had. That's good.
These are
Honestly, Pop-Tart's missing out on not going savory.
going savory. They probably should. That's true. How come they haven't would they feel like they're like culturally appropriating or
like
something
doing
like that?
it like if you take a like they give a fuck, Pete.
Money talk.
Just do a toaster strudel, but it's
Yeah.
frozen ground beef,
That's true.
Would you enjoy?
and then you put instead
Right,
of the frosting.
because they already do Uncrustables and stuff, right? Or is that a different company?
I don't fucking know, but
That's Smuckers.
Yeah. Well, still the concept's the same.
Would you enjoy a Pop-Tart that has like pulled pork and coleslaw and barbecue sauce inside?
not coleslaw, but pulled pork. Yeah,
Barbecue sauce.
Well, yeah, why not? They just call it Pop-Tart brand, right? I mean, like there's Hot Pockets that are like that, which is
Yeah.
in essence the exact
Yeah,
same
fucking
thing.
love Hot
but put
Pockets.
the Pop-Tart name on it. But
I open Hot Pocket down the middle, and then I put a little bit of salt and Tabasco in it, and then
I'm
Oh,
the
it
only one
does
who puts
need
in
more
salt.
sodium, that's for sure.
Shut up, guys. I don't even know if you're serious at this point. Let's see. How many Pop-Tarts do you think that you could buy? There's probably the right answer for this. If you cashed a 14-pick anytime touchdown parlay the way that this guy did, $5 pays $489,000.
I wanna be happy for him. Man, I've been doing this for a few years with 5. I can't hit 5 like a 5 pick. He hit a 14.
14er. Which
The worst part is he hit a 14, and one of the guys he picked is Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Could you even fucking name?
How could you even
Do you
guess
even
who-
know who that is? It's Antonio Gibson's backup
Yeah.
for the Commanders.
Uh-huh.
And that guy scored 2 touchdowns.
He sure did.
This
And
guy
they're-
wins
it-
a $500,000 on
when
a
they
$5
were
bet.
He probably wasn't feeling great when they were just like dead to rights there in the first half too, when they were just getting mollywopped, and then they get this comeback, courtesy in part by Chris Rodriguez Jr.
The only thing that makes me somewhat feel positively is that I know it's possible.
That's worse.
Yeah.
That gets you to spend more money.
There are, and maybe this guy's a plant or whatever, but a lot of people say, and we've talked about this too, whether or not these were fake bets or anything like that. However, they do have the guy
live stream.
reacting to it. The 14-leg parlay included Najee Harris. That's fine.
You guys
Gabe
keep going. I'm
Davis.
going to go pee real quick.
That's fine. Gabe Davis, Jahmyr Gibbs, DK Metcalf, Jerome Ford. Chris Rodriguez was a bit of a stretch, but who knows, you know.
Pacheco was a gimme.
Pacheco was
The fact
there.
that his last one was McCaffrey.
I know. I mean, like, talk about a shoe-in, right?
But imagine if the most
if it was
sure
last
one,
week or whatever that
yeah,
one
and he
was.
didn't score.
Yeah.
It's just it's yes, this one's real, but it's this guy's second time ever placing an anytime touchdown parlay. It's his second time ever. It's the parlay I placed, just smaller for $5, and I can't hit anything. He was asked like, what are you gonna do with the money? He's like, this is so unexpected. I'm just gonna pay off like student loans and debt and just like invest. Like the guy doesn't need the money,
Right.
He's like, I'm just gonna invest the rest.
But yeah, I mean, just like the ability to say that you're debt free is like
from
gambling,
anytime touchdown parlay.
Yeah, and I mean, just what's funny is I think back to this past weekend where it was Christmas Eve, and I placed a 4-pick all road favorites parlay. And it was like $10 to win 65 or anything like that. And here I am sending you guys a little screenshot that goes, "Good dub today, guys."
$10 to win $60.
Yeah. Felt great.
Fucking guy.
And then I immediately put a, no joke, this is how it went. I was like, how can I immediately gamble this back away? There was like a boost for Tyreek Hill, who was minus 110 in the versus the Cowboys for an anytime, which was boosted to plus 150. The Browns game went down to it was like 1:23 p.m. Pacific time when they won. And so I was waiting, or 1:22 is when they won. It was like 1:23. I'm like, I need this money to cash so I can start betting this a little bit more. And so finally, with 1 minute before the game starts, I was able to place the Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown. That's how much of a degenerate I was. Just waiting for money to cash so I could place a
afternoon window slot. This is just mind-boggling. I had a 4-pick anytime touchdown parlay with DK, David Njoku, Antonio Gibson, which Antonio Gibson scored last, and Sam Laporta. Who's the guy with the most touchdowns this year? Sam Laporta. 3 of those hit. I miss it by 1 leg because Laporta didn't score a fucking touchdown for the Lions.
Yeah.
And then I started fucking around with, none of the shit I've been doing. I haven't hit a single alternate spread this year.
Yeah.
Not a single one. And they haven't been missing by 1. They've been missing by 4 or 5. Buffalo missed this week again. The Niners got blown the fuck out.
Sure did.
Sure, the Chiefs fucked you.
The Chiefs fucked me.
Yeah, they fucked everyone.
There were a couple other.
There was a lot of money on the Broncos over the Patriots. Were you on that? I stayed away from that because the Patriots these days are too unpredictable.
I think I hit that because it was close enough.
Yeah.
And then I started messing around with you pick a anytime touchdown scorer and for their team to win. So I picked Jonathan Taylor and the Colts to win. So
I do that every week with Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers.
Yeah. But that one missed by Jonathan Taylor scoring and the Colts getting fucking rocked. Jesus, man.
Oops.
I can't do anything right.
Yeah.
Speaking of football, I'm sure you guys have some opinions on this. I know this is a little insider baseball here, but me and my wife in the fantasy football championship.
Oh, God. Yeah. You just had to, I thought you were not going to try and bring that up because I was definitely going to.
He had to bring that up because he's not going to get a congratulations.
No,
I know. I'm trying to get ahead of it here.
Publicly.
I will say anyone can make it to the championship as a 2-headed monster. I mean,
That's
if you're
true.
teaming up, you're going to make it
Mid-season
there.
trades.
Well, I'm not teaming up with anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Ooh, how does...
something smells fishy.
How does a guy being a dude at 7-7 this year somehow knock off the number 1
You guys
overall
made
seed?
some moves together, and you're both in the championship. I smell a little
we did make a trade in week 1. You are right.
Not week 1.
That was not week.
That was not week 1.
Go ahead and look it up, Pete. It was definitely week 1.
No, it wasn't. There's no way that you're trading away Garrett Wilson in week 1.
Can you bet a shot?
What happened in week 1 to the Jets, Peter?
That doesn't matter. Garrett Wilson was still going to be your number one.
That's why I traded him at his highest value. You
Better
dummy.
shot. Better shot. I'll look it
Oh,
up.
that's why I tried to screw over my wife, is what you're saying?
It was her offer.
Disagree. All of this stuff is
all
very
I know is that
revisionist
the money,
history
the
here.
money and the trophy is staying in house, boys.
And who's going to have to buy the little...
We'll see. Who's ever whoever's
probably
playing.
Austin.
Did you win?
No,
you-
I lost, actually. I was projected. Again, you know who screwed me again was freaking Patrick Mahomes.
Well,
Like,
Amari
going-
Cooper screwed you.
Oh, yeah. That's also very true.
Yeah.
I was very much thinking that things were going to go well for me because I was projected to win by like 20. And then I get the notification. It was like, you lost by 7. I'm like, how does this keep happening? On paper, one of the best looking rosters. And then when you look at the names.
But also on paper, one of the worst records.
Yes. Yes. Very much so. I had to pick up because Michael Pittman had that. He had a little delay there. I totally forgot that the Bills played when they did, so I didn't put Gabe Davis in, and he had 24 points. So I rolled the dice and put in Romeo Dobbs, and he got 18 points. So
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid player.
yeah, why not?
But yeah, I will say, though,
It's convenient.
Week 2.
It's convenient that now
Week 2.
a co-commissioner with
Same
his-
difference.
You said week 1. Week 2 is not week 1.
Okay. What I was saying is after week 1, when Aaron Rodgers got hurt, I made the trade, is what I was trying to say.
You guys can justify
Yeah,
getting
we've
My
already caught you in a
apologies.
lie. at this
Okay,
point.
you're right. I lied.
We've already caught you in a lie.
We'll leave the trophy and the Pop Tan household another year.
I really,
That's
honestly,
fine.
because I mean, I think it's safe to say that all the money is going to go towards our honeymoon in Italy. But
It's a wedding gift for everyone.
I do hope that she gets her name on it. Because having my name in
So sit him. Sit everyone.
back-to-back years,
Sit him.
I don't know if that would look great.
Sit him.
Well, technically, are you counting the one
Doesn't
where you
look great
where
already.
you share it?
God,
Like,
that's smoking.
sorry.
Yeah, my name is on the plaque for last year.
Shared championship.
So, I mean, no one thinks that this is going to be a legitimate championship anyway, so you might as well just sit all your people.
I think there's 2, maybe 3 people who aren't going to think this isn't a legitimate championship.
We could figure out a majority here.
We'll see. Why don't you work on that?
All right. I'll let you know.
I think I mean, good for you that you're in it, but you've won. It would be the same way that you're not cheering for anyone that's won. I was rooting for a Natalie Jera championship.
I was too.
No
just
one
to have
wants
like
you
an
in there.
all female championship game.
I completely agree. And honestly, I thought for sure that Natalie was going to beat me. The fact that I beat her in general, but I beat her by 20 points was very, very surprising to me.
Right time, right play. You did not have.
But it's like you said last week. When it gets to the playoffs, you just set your lineup and you cross your fingers.
Yeah.
That's
Did you have the Ravens defense?
No.
Okay. Well, who did?
I will tell you though, there is one league that I'm in the championship, and this is also my first time playing ESPN Fantasy since 2017. I was not aware of how this shit was going, because I keep checking it and I'm like, why has it not moved on to the other matchup? Because I'm in the championship now. But it goes 2 rounds. So I was in the semifinals. This last week was our round 2 of 2. And it accumulates all the points. So we played 2 weeks ago, and then they added the points from this. But, I mean, I killed who I played in the semis. I was ahead by 50.
Gotcha.
But the championship now is again going to be 2 rounds.
So they're trying to make it not.
So they
fluky.
include week 18 when everybody's sitting and stuff?
Dang.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
That's gonna be rough
Yeah.
for sure. Well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, now you have. Let's get into this, right? We have the Chiefs, who have been now eliminated from being a number 1 seed. I'm not saying that you have any of those, but there's a lot of teams in the AFC, particularly where a lot's not decided. You know, we've been in so many different scenarios where things have been decided.
We're in a
week 18.
crazy circumstance here, Pete, because there are 3 teams in the AFC that have double-digit wins. Can you name them?
Browns,
Baltimore.
The Cleveland Browns
the Baltimore Ravens,
and the Miami Dolphins.
and the Miami Dolphins. Yeah.
So you could say third best team in the AFC is.
I was
Say
cheering.
it.
I was cheering for
Say
the
it.
Browns.
Say it. Let
I
me
was
hear it
cheering
come out
for
of
the
your
Browns,
lips.
and I was rooting against Baltimore because I had forgotten that I placed a random division winner parlay with 5 teams: Detroit, who locked it; Miami, who locked it; Tampa Bay, who's number 1 currently.
I don't think Miami's locked it.
Buffalo's still like 2 behind. Well, regardless, they're number 1. Tampa Bay, who has the only winning record, who's number 1 in that division right now.
Baker
And
Mayfield, Mike Evans.
what I say, Miami, Detroit, Tampa Bay, the Texans, who's in a 3-way tie, and fucking Cleveland. I wanted the Cleveland win, but I needed a Baltimore loss
Yeah.
because this was like just a 5-leg division winner, and I'm like, Cleveland has a serious chance to win it, but Baltimore just kept pulling away, and I'm pretty sure maybe they haven't locked it. They're
They
11-3.
Right. They haven't locked it, but they certainly can.
It
here
would
the
have
next
to be
week or
a
so.
real domino effect of games for Cleveland to take it.
Yeah, so we're going to get into Cleveland here in a second because I want to talk about Joe Flacco. But
Team of Destiny, you mean?
yeah, the Ravens as well, that game against 49ers. I do want to start with the Chiefs. Chiefs eliminated from being number 1. They'll have to be a wild card team. Patrick Mahomes never been a wild card guy. That loss the other day, it was wild. I was opening up presents on Christmas morning, and the Raiders defense scores 2 times in 7 seconds. Insane. And so then I'm just going, all right, Brody, you enjoy that remote control car. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and place another in-game bet on Kansas City because there's no way that they can lose this damn game. And then Aiden O'Connell had 60. Hold on, let me pull up this stat. This was remarkable that the Chiefs somehow lost this game against that team.
Pretty sure Aiden O'Connell had 0.06 or 0.6 fantasy points.
He did. So he had, in the first quarter, 62 passing yards. Aiden O'Connell did. He had 0 passing yards for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
For the rest of the game. And they won 20-14 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. What are you doing?
I'm willing to say now, there's no way they can win a Super Bowl.
And yet, you have a bet against me, which is great.
There's no way.
They are
I don't think,
broken.
I don't think they'll win the Super Bowl, but I also think that
I have a bet against you that they'll win the Super Bowl?
No, that they would be in the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
remember
It's a
that
team
one.
bet.
Yeah.
I
But you still have the Eagles. Your hope is the Eagles or the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
yeah.
There you go.
I think the Chiefs have built this, how great they are, and we have been. They have set the standard for who the Chiefs are for the last few years.
Yeah. They can't have it down here.
That anything that goes wrong, we're all just losing it. Mahomes has a bad game. They drop balls 3 games in a row.
Travis Kelce and the Taylor Swift curse.
They're 9-7, and then we are just looking for, like, is it Taylor Swift? Is Kelce distracted? Like,
Does he even want to play anymore?
they're just like everyone's just losing their fucking minds because they've set the standard so high and have dominated for the last half a decade in the league.
Yeah.
I think
Borderline dynasty.
the biggest concern is that there isn't one individual to blame this on. This was a team loss.
Yeah, I thought that I think it was Miguel who had texted it. We're just like, they've gotten away with like being in these games, if not winning these games, because Mahomes has been on point, right? But the fact that he's throwing pick sixes right there in the first half just is demoralizing.
The other games have been like wide receiver mishaps and drop balls.
Mm-hmm.
This last game, Mahomes looked bad.
Look bad.
He looked bad. But also, you have to give credit to Antonio Pierce. He took over the Raiders team as an interim head coach and in charge of the defense. They are the number 3 defense in the National Football League since he took over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not Aiden O'Connell. The guy didn't get you 1 point in fantasy, which is a decent measure for how you do with stats. It's not like Devontae Smith is going off. They don't have Josh Jacobs. Devontae Adams. They don't have Josh Jacobs. They have White, who's running the ball, who did pretty well. It's their fucking defense that is flying all over the field.
Crosby.
Yeah, I mean, Crosby's insane. And then, you had that, the guy, I forget his name off the top of my head, who had the pick six, who then was going to go and give it to a Chiefs fan and then pulled it away like a total dickhead. Everyone's giving that guy a very
I don't think that's a total dickhead move. It's a fuck you move.
Those are also two rivals.
Yeah,
Chiefs
those are
and
division
Raiders.
rivals.
Division rivals, sure.
Raiders have been the little brother to the Chiefs for a long time. Fuck them.
But, I mean, in 7 seconds you have, I think they scored 13 points off that because they did a 2-point that did not convert. Either way, I mean, your offense did virtually nothing.
It's the epitome
impressive.
of American sports and fans and everyone. You build somebody up, and then you build them up to be so dominant, winning Dynasty, and when they get there, you cannot wait to tear them the fuck down. Everything that goes wrong, you want to tear them down. You want to bring them back down to earth because they got so high up there.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're bringing themselves down.
They are. Yeah,
People
have been waiting for the
opportunity.
opportunity.
For their demise.
Clearly, we have nothing to do with their demise. They're shooting themselves.
It's their fault.
But it's like people love seeing it. People love seeing the Chiefs like, oh yeah, finally, fuck Mahomes, fuck Taylor Swift, fuck Travis Kelce, and you relish in their demise. That is the American sports fan.
Yeah.
That's facts.
That is who we are.
What's funny is that I'm not that guy. I'm just like kind of more.
You are the leader of that pack. What the fuck are you talking
That's
about?
what I'm saying. I'm not that guy with the Chiefs. Like, I haven't been waiting to tear the Chiefs down. I've been more like, I am the leader of that guy. And for some reason, I'm not with them. But maybe it's because my wife is a big Swiftie.
What's the odds on betting the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl right now?
Gosh,
Is what the question
I actually
is.
have that link up.
I wouldn't bet them to win the
please.
Super Bowl, but I don't think they're dead. I'd still see them getting there.
Either way, and I think that like Patrick Mahomes is allowed, he gets my permission to have a game off there. Let's
I'm sure
see.
he was worried about that.
Futures now, we have the Chiefs. They were at what, plus 400, plus 600 last week. We'd have to go check the tape.
It was surprisingly low than I had expected.
But they're still at plus 800 now, so they're still within striking range. I don't think that I would have.
Here's what's exciting, and this has been my main focus because I have a future on it. This weekend completely changed the landscape of MVP.
It sure did. Yeah.
So Purdy, who was at minus 160, throws 4 picks.
It's Lamar.
Lamar is now minus 160, but guess who's a very close second? McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Niners get blown out, but McCaffrey gets 102 rushing yards and like 25 or 30 receiving yards and a touchdown. So it goes Lamar at minus 160, McCaffrey at like plus 300, but I got him at plus 1,400 in October.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good bet.
So it's not over. Lamar has a bad game.
Yeah, it's McCaffrey's to.
McCaffrey keeps going. There's a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I just need a chance.
Well, the thing that's in your favor is the Ravens are in a position where if they win
they
next
can sit
week,
him out.
then he's not going to play. And I don't know if that will affect him, but you'd got to think because Christian McCaffrey is going to have to play in Week 18. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. It is interesting. I'm sure that you guys were tracking this, but it was a guy who had a bet that he placed earlier in the season where Brock Purdy was at plus 10,000 to win the MVP, and it was to pay out $202,000. Well, there is an app in which you can trade betting tickets and
prop swap.
Yeah, prop swap.
Swap.
Yeah. And so this bet was up there in this past weekend. Originally, someone had offered him $90,000 for this ticket to pay $202 if he had won. And he was, again, the favorite at minus 160, so it's looking great. He declined that one, but just right before that game, I think Friday or Saturday, accepted a offer of $125,000.
Some idiot bought the ticket.
Bought the ticket before that game happens. Then we see what happened with Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
And now Brock Purdy is sitting at a cool plus 1,200 on DraftKings, which is even worse than it was immediately after the game. And poof, there goes $125,000 for that guy. Because there's no way that Brock Purdy can come back from that at this point. Because you're possibly playing a team that you're going to play again in the Super Bowl. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's very few options here. That is...
And the Ravens stuffed them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely stuffed them.
They heard all of the things. They heard Mike Florio say that the 49ers were going to kick the shit out of them and all this other stuff. They used it as the motivation. You know,
the Ravens are good.
Yeah.
I'm not completely sold.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But
tell me why. Tell me why you're not.
But how
completely
many
sold.
times have we seen? And this doesn't take anything away from how great Lamar and the Ravens defense and like Gus Edwards and all them. They're great. They're really good. The reason I'm not completely sold is because we've seen this season with the Cowboys, with the Eagles, and with the Niners. You see them completely dominate a game. And you're like, these guys are fucking untouchable. They are absolutely untouchable. And then they lose a game by getting blown out. The Ravens, I don't even think, are on the same level as Philly and San Francisco.
So here's why I disagree with you to a degree.
Well, they just dominated San Francisco.
They
I'm
did.
saying we've just seen these games happen with who we see as the dominant team.
But we also agree that it's all about timing. And the thing that the Ravens haven't been able to do, they've always been a dominant team, but they don't time their strength well. They get injured. They fizzle out towards the end of the season.
Lamar's usually out for a quarter of the season.
But they are doing everything right at the right time.
Despite some crucial injuries.
Exactly. And they're having people step up and playing the part that they need to at the right time.
And, earlier this season we were talking about how, the Dolphins have been dominant, but they've been doing it. They hadn't beaten a team over 500 in like over a year or close to a year. Kind of the same thing with the Dallas Cowboys, where it was like, wow, like they're steamrolling guys, but also like look at the team record compared to. This year, the Ravens have 7 wins by 14 plus points. All of those opponents are currently over 500. And that's Houston, Cleveland, Detroit, Seattle,
I think it's real
Cincinnati,
hard
Jacksonville,
to deny
and San Francisco.
Don't think
the
they
Ravens'
have
dominance.
I don't think they have enough to make it to the end.
They
If I just think back to a few years to this point, every Super Bowl team has that it guy. It has the Travis Kelce. It has like the AJ, like AJ Brown.
Lamar Jackson is not an it guy.
But for Lamar Jackson to like throw to, we're talking about Zay Flowers. We're talking about a highlight old OBJ. No Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. Like these are all very good players, but he doesn't have the Mike. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't have the Mike Evans, the Travis Kelce, the Rob Gronkowski. Every Super Bowl team that I can remember has those guys. A game changer, an absolute game changer. I don't think the Ravens outside of Lamar has that guy.
So
I think Lamar is enough. I think their defense is good enough to have a quarterback to be their it guy.
I hope so. I'm not against them.
They
I
have
just
an
don't think they do.
Offensive core that is good enough. Like I think, maybe belittling is the wrong word, but to lessen the value of Likely to or OBJ or Zay Flowers,
Gus Edwards,
or their
or
kind
whomever.
of
Justice Hill. If those guys are healthy at this point, I don't even
exactly.
know.
The thing that I think is so great about the Ravens is that they don't need to have one guy that's so good to make up for everybody else. They've got 5 guys who are just good enough to make up for one another.
And if they could do that, fucking more power to them. I would love to see it. I just know that
you think in crunch time it's not enough.
I just think history of Super Bowl winners or making it to the Super Bowl game, When you're talking about an NFL game changer, it is a massive difference. A Tyreek Hill is a massive difference. A Travis Kelce, like that one person who you know is not going to let you down and can just beat everyone on the field. They're just so superior above everyone. I think that matters when you get to the big game.
So here's a question that I think is interesting. If you're coming into a game, would you rather have one 5-star player with, 3 3-star players, or would you rather have 5 4-star players?
But you're looking at you're asking me that question because you're looking at my take as an either or. It's not an either or. I would go with whatever's going to give me the best chance to win the fucking Super Bowl.
And that's my question. What do you think is going to give you the
but
best
it's
chance?
not an either or. What I'm saying is those teams that have that it player, the superior game changer, that team also has the Isaiah Likeleys and the Gus Edwards and the Zay Flowers, the above average players. I'm saying what's missing with the Baltimore Ravens is they have those guys without the it guy.
I mean, like, we did talk a couple weeks ago about just, like, the sneaky dominance, the lack of sex appeal that the Ravens not only have this year, but almost always seem to have, where you have, like, the Mark Andrews and the Lamar Jacksons, but, I mean, just kind of this, like, slow burn that is the Ravens. And, if we're not saying the Ravens in your mind, is it the Bills? Is it the Browns? Is it the Dolphins?
It's definitely the Browns.
When you're naming, if you name like the Browns and you name the Bills, the reason that question doesn't apply to what I'm saying is because it's not an either or. Like I said, the Bills have a Shakir, a Gabe Davis. That to me is who Zay Flowers and Isaiah Likely and all those guys are. But he has Diggs. That's my it guy.
Diggs hasn't had over 100 yards receiving in over 10 weeks.
He's still fucking Stephon Diggs. The reason you're bringing that up is because that's who he is. We expect 100 yards out of him.
But in that Chiefs game last year, it was 5 touchdowns to Gabe Davis. Right? Like, I mean, that's that game against the Chiefs and the Bills, like, it was a Gabe Davis game.
And I think you could say Zay Flowers has almost as many productive games as Stephon Diggs.
Sure.
You could give the same comparison that OBJ or Zay Flowers could have a breakout game in the playoffs and be that guy that you need.
Stats-wise, currently in the season, we can say a lot of things. If we're sitting here and I go, who's Josh Allen's number one option? Is it even a fucking... Or would you guys take 2 seconds? Who's his number one option?
Yeah, it's Diggs.
It's Diggs.
Yeah.
No question.
But, however, like, and we see this in the NBA, if I can cross sports a little bit, it's like, shut that guy down and make everyone else beat you.
Sure. There's a million takes. My only take is, who's Josh Allen's number one guy? There's a clear answer.
Yeah,
Who
absolutely.
is Joe Flacco's number one guy? Amari Cooper. There
who
is
sets
one
a franchise
clear
record.
answer.
Yeah.
Why is it a bad thing that when you ask about Lamar Jackson, he has 2 number one guys?
Or that he
Because
distributes the ball.
they're not number one guys. They're not number one guys.
But wouldn't you rather spread the talent around? Wouldn't you rather be like, oh, well, if I'm a defense playing the Buffalo Bills, I know I need to double team Stephon Diggs, and then we win, or we're competitive.
It's not that I don't agree with what it's not that I wouldn't want what he has. If Mark Andrews was playing, my take would be a little bit different because I would say he has all these guys that we like, but he has Andrews. So that's his guy. That's his number one guy.
But my point is if I'm a defensive coordinator going against the Bills, I know that I have one person to worry about. If I'm a defensive coordinator going against the Ravens, who is it going to be this week?
Because we're seeing that in the Chiefs right now.
Exactly.
We're seeing, like, the Ravens are what we're hoping that what people are hoping that the Chiefs would be. But there's, they've got a bunch of wide receivers who are not number one options, who drop balls, and then they're just making sure that they shut down Travis Kelce.
Our only gap here is you guys are not seeing the same way I'm seeing a number one option. Yes, having a above average crew of Zay Flowers, OBJ, likely, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell, great, awesome, right?
Yeah.
But when you have the superior guy, he gets so much attention that it makes life so much easier for everybody else.
Sure.
Why do you think Gabe Davis had 5 fucking touchdowns? Because Diggs was covered. It's the same way that McCole Hardman, that everyone
You're
else,
saying it takes attention away.
they serve,
So they can
their
do better.
purpose is so much bigger than I think what you guys are seeing. When you have a Tyreek Hill, when you have a Travis Kelce, these guys perform when they're double teamed. When they're triple teamed, that means someone's fucking wide open. I think the value that a number one guy brings to a team is not something you could cover up. It's so important.
I suppose it is like kind of like, I don't know if it's 6-1, half dozen of the other, but where you say like if you don't know who's going to beat you on any given night, you have to have like equal respect, and they would be one-on-one, right? Your argument is that like you need a number one like a Stephon Diggs, who you wouldn't necessarily expect in that game to show out the most, but who would attract so much attention to you that it allows the other guys to shine like a Gabe
And
Davis.
there's so much unknown that are all positives. Like Stephon Diggs could attract so much attention and still perform. Or could get so much attention that he's not able to, but it opens the field for everybody else. If the Ravens had Mark Andrews, that's my number one guy for Lamar. I mean, that opens up likely. That opens up Zay Flowers way more than how they're performing so great right now. That helps big time. A number one player in the NFL to me is one of the most important things.
The fact that the Ravens, I know that it wasn't like a huge number one or anything like that, but a guy who was like having a good comeuppance with Keaton Mitchell as well for the Ravens. They come out this week and they will continue to dominate. And I think again we're looking at like guys who they're losing players, but they're backfilling. They've got 7 wins by 14 or more points, and all of those have been against winning teams where we have so many other stats where it's like, okay, cool, you beat up on all of these other guys, but like you're actually like it's not as impressive, right? And then we see what happens in Miami in the Miami and Dallas game. It's almost like you've talked about same fish. Those teams kind of have been same fish this year, and to see that like Miami was the one who persevered in that game, kind of like once again knocked down the Dallas Cowboys, another peg, but then also kind of like despite the injuries and all of this stuff, kind of told us a good number of things, I think, about both of those teams in that game. There are times like, we see in the 49ers and Ravens game where they play that game next week, they play that game tomorrow, 49ers are going to get favored again because that was a fluke. 5 interceptions or 5 turnovers, that was a fluke. But I think that this Miami and Dallas game was actually pretty indicative about both of those games. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that.
Also, the reason why I'm not buying into the Ravens is because it's a completely different league than it was 20 years ago, obviously. The only team I can remember that had like 1 star on offense, and in this case it would be Lamar, with a really good defense, that won the Super Bowl was the 2000 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because that was led by Trent Dilfer.
Sure.
That had maybe 1 star receiver and like a running back crew that was they were all average. But it had like Warren Sapp and Rondé Barber and Derek Brooks. But that was the 2000 NFL. This is a high-scoring offensive league that I don't think the great above-average Ravens defense could carry them all the way if Lamar has all of these above-average guys, but not without a Tyreek Hill, without that one guy that could just separate them above the rest of the teams.
Right. I mean, like not to like continue to move this towards the Dolphins, but I mean, Dolphins were able to do that with a hampered Tyreek Hill as well, which I thought was pretty impressive too.
Yeah, and I think you can look at the Joe Flacco Ravens that we kind of talked about earlier. They didn't have, a ton of weapons on offense, and they were able to win that Super Bowl with Ray Lewis. And
yeah, and that's still before like the push for scoring.
Yeah, that was kind of at the start at the offensive power that the NFL
That
had.
was also not an above average defense. That was a fucking incredible.
Probably one of the best
defensive
defenses
lineup.
in the last 20 years.
But like, if you go back to the Dolphins, you could lose Tyreek, and that's a massive loss. First of all, pretty sure Raheem Mostert leads the league in touchdowns.
Yeah.
And his backup is a up and coming rookie running back that would
A-Chain.
start at any other team.
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle would be wide receiver 1 on another team, and Tua is not he's an above average quarterback
For sure.
So for that team to keep the engine running the way they have
Despite all the injuries.
you need Tyreek.
Yeah.
But they can win. I mean, they showed that against Dallas for sure. But I don't know.
Dolphins currently minus 350 to win the division.
I just got to say, because we talk about these teams that, they're dealing with so many injuries and they're still doing well. Look at them. If you want to, but I implore you to look at the Cleveland Browns injury roster.
Yeah, no question.
It is almost an all-pro team from top to bottom.
of all the people who are injured.
Of all
no
the
question.
people
They're
who are
they're
injured.
number 1.
And for them to be in the place that they're at right now, they locked themselves in a playoff spot. They do have some weird chance to even win this division, which it's odd, no doubt, to get there, but
Yep.
it is possible.
Plus 1,500 currently, but yeah.
To win the division or Super Bowl?
The division.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty difficult for them.
But guess what? There's no way the Browns would be in this position had it not been for the Flacco move.
I agree. I couldn't agree more.
The Flacco move,
And
the fact that some people question that he should not be playing over PJ Walker or DTR, Flacco's experience, and he doesn't need to do much. They have a pretty good O-line.
Yeah.
Sit in the pocket.
Even though 4 out of 5 of their offensive line are second stringers, they still have a dominant line. Their defense is number 1 in the league. And what's the odds for them to win the Super Bowl?
Plus 4,500.
4,500.
Yeah.
Okay, so $10 to win 450.
Yeah.
Also-
Place it. Why not?
Also, I wouldn't discount the fact that Jerome Ford has been a godsend for that team.
Yeah, absolutely. They
To come
definitely.
in after Nick Chubb, and you still sort of have a two-headed monster with Kareem Hunt and
Yeah.
Ford. Ford's pretty fucking good.
No, I think that they split time well. But, gosh.
It is interesting, like to
It's
kind
great.
of to move that a little bit further. Joe Flacco now sits second place in the NFL Comeback Player of the Year odds at plus 400. Obviously, the Comeback Player of the Year favorite is Damar Hamlin.
He
How
doesn't
many
even
plays?
play, right?
How many plays has he played?
Right, and that's kind of, I don't know that off the top of my head.
Less than
However,
10.
hasn't played a lot, and it is kind of an interesting conversation where, I attribute it to, I'm going to make this very personal for myself. I am an Emmy-nominated producer and editor. The year that I was nominated, there was a very, tug on your heartstrings type of a story that, you kind of knew was going to win in the category because mine wasn't, right? The Joe Flacco side does not have the Damar Hamlin story.
Yeah.
Does that mean that Joe Flacco isn't, the person
I mean,
who has
he
been a
100% should
game
be.
changer for that team? A little bit ironic, too, that the Jets had Joe Flacco as a backup, and had they just kind of retained him, they could have been that team with Joe Flacco. But, yeah, so Damar Hamlin, it's again kind of this what people were trying to make Brock Purdy be.
It's a great storyline.
Yeah. So Damar Hamlin has returned to the field. Has he made a difference?
Also,
no.
another Cleveland Brown that has taken the place of another prominent tight end, at least in this, in my head, in my ranking, we, in the last couple of years, have seen this tight end ranking because it's always been Travis Kelce above everyone. When Gronk was in the league, it was Kelce and Gronk. Gronk leaves, and it was Kelce and Kittle and Mark Andrews. But there's been a teetering 4 and 5, and Waller's been on there pretty He had the 4 or 5 locked, like with T.J. Hawkinson and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd say T.J. Hawkinson and then the 5 and 6.
Yeah, but Njoku,
He's a beast.
David Njoku has taken Darren Waller's place in the ranking of tight ends. That guy has produced.
He got his face burned off.
He sure did.
That guy has had, like, if you go over Njoku's numbers, it has been, like, through all the quarterbacks that they've had, through the Deshaun Watson drama, all the way through the 2 backups to signing Joe Flacco, he has been so consistent, so reliable. He has been the Darren Waller of 2017 today.
And also one of, if not the guy that I drafted to be my tight end and got rid of after week 2.
He gave up on
That
Big mistake.
That felt real good. Damar Hamlin, by the way, has appeared in 5 games this year as 2 tackles and 2 solo tackles. So
Love him. Glad he's alive.
Glad he's alive.
But
the story was remarkable, and they're going to once again not parade, but they're going. They're going.
I think it would be a mistake to not give Joe Flacco that award. A mistake.
Who else is in the running for that? Is there
for
anyone else
comeback
even
player
close?
of the year. One moment, please. I will dial that up.
Is Tua on there?
Tua's up
He
there.
Might be.
Top
Let's
5
see.
probably.
Comeback player of the year. Damar Hamlin at -400. Joe Flacco at +400. Baker Mayfield at +800. Tua at +1200. You also have Matthew Stafford tied with Tua at +1200. Both.
First of all, we've thrown a lot of hate towards Baker Mayfield. That guy has been moved around so much. And Tampa Bay, I know he has Mike Evans, who is just the most
10 years of 1,000
probably
yards.
the most underrated wide receiver in all of fucking NFL. Mike Evans just produces for you every fucking year. But most underrated quarterback of all fucking time has got to be Matt Stafford. It has got to be Matt Stafford. That guy does not get enough credit.
Yeah, he's been slinging it. There's no doubt
Stafford,
about it.
yes, he's been like the highest paid quarterback but in 2015 or whatever, that guy's played 90% of his life with the fucking Detroit Lions, who won their first division title in 30 years.
Yeah.
Since pre-Super Bowl era.
Matt Stafford.
They've never won the NFC North because that's how long it's been. They used to be the
Yeah.
NFC Central.
Yeah.
Do you know the top wide receiver receiving yards ever in the league? Number 1's Calvin Johnson. Who's his quarterback?
Matt Stafford.
Number 2 is Cooper Kupp. Who is his fucking quarterback?
Matt Stafford.
Who is running for number 3 right now? Would you like to take a wild fucking guess? Because he's a goddamn rookie. And
Puka
Nacua not only is going to beat Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson for most receiving yards as a fucking rookie, but he is going to be 3rd behind Kupp and Calvin Johnson. And who is his quarterback?
Matt Stafford.
Matt Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the fucking NFL.
And he usually does it with a broken rib or 3.
He does it hurt every fucking year. That guy is never talked about in top 10 quarterbacks in the league.
I'm so glad he got a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
yes, he deserved that fucking and he deserves more.
Yeah.
That guy, when you think about when we go over top 10 quarterbacks, we are naming Marino and Montana and all this shit. Stafford's name never gets thrown in the box. He is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL.
He's
so
great.
Fucking underrated.
He can come play for the Browns anytime.
Dude, I would take Matt Stafford as my quarterback any day.
And not to take anything away from Matt Stafford, because I totally agree. The team that traded him to L.A., the Detroit Lions, back to what happened there. There was obviously, they win the division. They took it down to the wire, right at the end. But it was interesting, just like everything that went around, there was a lot of emotion, both for Jared Goff, the guys who have been there through the 3 and 12, 3 and 14, whatever it was.
Their coach was on that team.
Yeah.
Their coach was on that team.
The 0-16 team.
Yeah. So, I mean, to see that, and to rise to the occasion, the moment, Dan Campbell recognizing all of those guys who were on those types of teams as well. That can't be understated for what happened this past weekend, despite their efforts to throw that.
There's
game away.
also something that I've said before. I know the coaching difference between other pro sports in the NFL and how it matters so much more in the NFL. The Lions making it here this season, and winning the division title, that is all credit to Dan Campbell.
Yeah, and I mean,
coaching in the NFL, it's not like Frank Vogel coaching the fucking Lakers, all right? The coaches in the NBA, it does not fucking matter.
Yeah.
But coaching in the NFL, you have to give a lot of the credit to Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, like, he joked in his introductory press conference that, like, hey, I know that some of you guys thought I was Matt Campbell from Iowa State or whatnot. But, it just kind of goes to show that, like, you had an offensive line coach and you go, like, what the hell? The Lions, like, the laughing stock of the league is now hiring this guy? Like, what the hell
not even
are
an
they
offensive
doing?
line coach, a tight ends coach.
Tight ends coach, yeah. And so kind of an interest in then to see how this all plays out. Like, we all have expectations for how these guys are going to do. Flashy names here and there for how they may go in the media. But still, like, we're seeing that with the Dan Campbells, the Antonio Pierces, who, you just turn on. Like, nothing has changed for Devontae Adams this year. Nothing. He hasn't gotten catches, he hasn't gotten touchdowns, and he was pissed off. Get me out of here. Antonio Pierce comes in, he wants to run through a wall for Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
And nothing has changed for him in the time that Josh McDaniels has been fired to now. If anything, it's gotten worse. And it seems like Devontae Adams is like, yeah, we're good.
Well, I think that's more of a sign as to who Josh McDaniels is as a person.
Yeah, but I think it's also like, a guy that you'll run through a wall for.
Also,
and
if people really paid attention to coaching changes, especially in the National Football League, you have the unicorns in like the Kyle Shanahans and the McVays, and Matt LaFleur or whatever. These offensive-minded young coaches, Mike McDaniel and all that. But why would you ever question a tough motherfucker? Because in the history of the league, when you have a tight end, an O-line coach, and Antonio Pierce, a defensive guy, when they take over either a rebuild or a middle-of-the-road team, they get them to the point where they succeed. Because they're, like the Eagles O-line coach is one of the best coaches in the entire league. You can insert whoever in there, they will dominate because he has a system. O-line coaches are some of the best like leaders you could have on a team. I don't know why people ever question Dan Campbell or any of those guys. They're fucking tough, and they toughen your team up.
Yeah. Jeff Saturday was not a good selection there, but that's
One-off.
here nor there.
That was different.
I'll tell you what, the one Super Bowl matchup that I think everybody in America would be okay with, Lions-Browns.
You think so?
I would love that.
If
The
everybody,
NFL would hate that. but
everybody in America would be like, you know what, these guys.
It was like when the Indians and Cubs played in the World Series.
I don't think the NFL would hate that. Those are two teams with some of the most loyal
fan bases, yeah.
and they're hardcore. They might not be as aggressive as like a Philadelphia fan base, but they've had the same hardcore fan bases.
They've both been 0-16.
And
Yeah,
you would not,
I think that would be one of the most fun Super Bowls in the last 20 years.
Yeah. And it would be
I
good
would-
for
I
guys
would
like
enjoy
Jared
that.
Goff and that type. Joe Flacco, Jared
Yeah,
Goff. That
can
would
you
be kinda fun.
imagine? That would be awesome, and it's possible.
It's not impossible.
It is possible.
I wonder if they even have that up on the DraftKings
like a matchup.
As a matchup. There's just no way in the future.
Well, it's just
right?
think about it. These are two teams with a fan base that has been like begging for a successful season.
They've gone through
let alone a
shit.
chance to be in the postseason, like past wild card shit. You have a hold of the Chiefs fan base. You have a hold of still the Patriots today. You have a hold of these dynasties, but to gain the Super Bowl ticket purchases from Lion fans and Brown fans.
Oh, I imagine
it'd be fucking
it'd
crazy.
be probably
Yeah.
one of the most high selling for actual attendance of fans from the cities, because these guys would think, these fans from Cleveland and Detroit, this might be the last time that they have this chance. They don't want to take the chance and miss it.
If you have a Lions and Browns Super Bowl, this might be the highest selling ticket for standing room only. Because there's 80-year-olds that have been cheering for the fucking Browns that would be like, I haven't seen you guys
This
win
is my
since Jim
time.
Brown.
I need
Like,
you
I'll
to win
be there.
before I
I'm
die.
going to
Yeah,
fucking
before
be
I
there.
die, I have to
I
go.
need you to. Okay, where is this? Is it in futures? Because I
Yeah.
have champion, conference winner, division winner to make the playoffs and number 1
It's
seed.
somewhere around those.
And I
four
feel like I made a
categories.
bet recently where it was like the Ravens and 49. I can't find it off the top. We'll post it. We'll talk about it next week.
If
But
the
yeah,
Lions beat the Cowboys, though, I tell you what, talking about the Cowboys' demise and how they have just been losing.
yeah.
If the Lions take care of them.
Yeah,
ooh.
right now the Cowboys at minus 250 at home in that game. So, the 49ers are going to have a bounce back game. They're already sitting at minus 850, kind of coming up on this week. We've got the Rams and the Giants. This is kind of an interesting one because they bench Tommy DeVito. Shocker there for Tyrod Taylor. We all called that out. Tommy DeVito not having the best week because everyone's like, "Oh, you are you're promoting a canned spaghetti sauce. There's no way that you get your Italian card anymore." But I actually like this Giants and Rams game. I actually think might be interesting to see what Tyrod Taylor can do because he was a spark in that game. Then Bills Patriots again. This line I hate. I hate it so much. I would even maybe put the Patriots at plus 12 here because once again, Bill Belichick does not usually lose to the Buffalo Bills, regardless of how good a guy is or whatever. Bill Belichick has that guy's, and they're coming off of a good win against the Broncos as well, who ruined the Broncos' chances basically about getting into the playoffs.
The Bills are winning. The Bills are doing great. But Josh Allen's still making mistakes.
He is.
You make and you're not here and you're not going to sit here and think that Bill Belichick is not going to be able to plan against a Josh Allen who's prone to throwing picks or making bad decisions.
For sure.
It's not a gimme for them.
Versus a defense that has kept them in a lot of games. I mean, they allowed in 3 weeks 13 points and somehow lost all 3 of those games. But, who knows? Maybe you get a pick 6 here and there. You get a defensive touchdown. The Eagles. We didn't.
Before you move on from
Yeah.
the Bills, I will say Leonard Fournette, that's a massive addition for them.
Sure.
I have no idea why that guy's been out of the league. Why he hasn't been on a roster.
Right.
Like, he has a lot left in the tank. That guy's not that old.
I think that just the general perception of the running back these days is that you're like a racehorse. You get over 3 years old and you're retired. And maybe that was just kind of the perception about a guy like that.
I don't know. It's not like Fournette left and was not put on a roster because he had a bad season. Like, he was coming off a Super Bowl win and a mediocre season with Tampa Bay with Tom Brady's last year, and then all of a sudden he wasn't on a roster. Like, Leonard Fournette is still pretty good.
I like the Eagles, this week. It does seem that, they win
another squeak.
Yeah,
squeaky
I mean, they
win.
were up by a couple of scores there towards the end of the game. They let the Giants get back into it. I don't know, man. I'm still convinced that my bet is going to pay off. They won another ugly game. That should have been a get-right game. I had a bet on, hey, Jalen Hurts has been getting all this flack, so I put, some money on, a Jalen Hurts good game parlay, and that didn't hit, even though we had 301 passing yards and a touchdown.
Oh.
I think we're getting into a fun time of the season because usually at this time of the year, there's a lot more shorty in who's going to win divisions, and I think things are very close. There's a lot of number ones in conferences who are still up for grabs, so I think we're going to see teams playing into the end of the year, and it's going to be a fun last few weeks of the NFL.
Yeah, this Saints and Bucks game has a lot of implications.
Absolutely.
On it, coming up this weekend. Additionally, Bears and Falcons could kind of be a sneaky good game too. Maybe not for obviously playoff stuff, but just kind of two teams in somewhat of a similar place in their franchises.
I wonder if people's perception of Justin Fields is changing because Justin Fields hasn't had a bad game since he came back. He's been pretty good.
Yeah. Who do you guys like in that game? You got Bears at home, and they are currently a 3-point favorite.
I like the Bears because they got all their running backs back.
Yeah.
Because with Khalil Herbert, that's a game changer for them. Because when he's been out, they've been riding with Deontay Foreman and Roshan Johnson. But Khalil Herbert, there's one game he scored like 3 touchdowns, right? I think him being back, Justin Fields playing well. I mean, they won last game, and yes, it's against the Cardinals, but like DJ Moore had 3 catches. They didn't even need him, and they won by 11. So I feel like DJ Moore's gonna have a great game. I would take the Bears on this one. They're playing spoiler.
Another interesting divisional matchup with the Titans and the Texans. Texans at home, 3.5 points, so they get a little extra half point there. But Ryan Tannehill is back, and who knows what kind of output you're going to get from Derrick Henry. But a slight favorite there for the Texans. Again, another not the most sexy, but could turn out to be a really good game because of what is on the docket. Unfortunately, that we're not going to get the Bengals and Chiefs game at this point in the season that we were all kind of hoping for at the season's beginning, right? With Joe Burrow being hurt. And
who knows?
such.
Jake Browning could put on a show, and Mahomes could play down to what he has been these last couple of weeks. So we'll see. I mean, I think we've all learned that the NFL this year is up for grabs. As far as what we expect and what we hope for, it usually doesn't happen. So
yeah, and I like a good Monday night football game there with the
Packers Vikings.
Yeah, we've got a couple. Wait,
division matchup.
What are we looking at? We're looking at a couple of. What is that day? Hold on, one moment.
There's
please.
one Thursday night game. There's one Saturday game. It's all Sunday, and then
no Monday games because of the Jan 6 games. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Yep.
So there's normally there's 6 morning slot games. There's 10.
Yeah.
There's 3 afternoon and then a Sunday night.
So let's talk about our college football playoff games here that are going to be coming up.
Oregon State Notre Dame. The 20 was it Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Prime rib night,
baby. We've got just a few minutes left. We kind of monopolize the conversation on the NFL. But let's take a look here at the NCAA slate, because we do have on the 30th. Hold on, one moment, please. We've got on the 30th, we have Ole Miss and Penn State. That is in what bowl game is that? The Orange Bowl? Oh, the Peach Bowl. My bad. The Peach Bowl. What do we think there?
Penn State.
I think I'd take Penn State as well.
I might go with Ole Miss on that one. Why not? Because it seems like Penn State can't ever rise to the occasion of
Do you
a big
think
game.
Oregon State can beat Notre Dame?
Do I?
Notre
no.
Dame's a 6.5 point favorite.
No, because their running back Martinez isn't going to be playing. Their new head coach isn't even going to be coaching.
Is Martinez not playing because he's going to the league?
No, because he got a DUI or whatever. But then they dropped the charges. But then they had already kind of said he wasn't going to play in the bowl game. But then they were like, well, he's eligible to play now, but he's still not going to play. So I think that's Notre Dame at that point. Then you have the Georgia-Florida State game, which is an interesting one here on the 30th. We've talked about this game ad nauseum. I'm curious if you guys which team do you think will show up for both? Will Florida State be the team that plays with the chip on their shoulder? Will Georgia feel like, man, we don't belong here?
Again,
we believe in the college football playoff.
This is a lose-lose for Florida State.
Yeah.
They play great, and it's because Georgia didn't try. Because Georgia doesn't care. They play like shit. It's because they never deserve to be in the top anyway.
Yeah.
Florida State can't win.
Yeah, I think Georgia wins.
By double digits. I mean, I think that they were a 14-point line.
I think they're going to win handily.
I think that the games to focus on, so you have the Oregon State game, Notre Dame wouldn't be that great. Oregon Liberty won't be that great. But playoffs are happening before we record.
Correct. Yeah.
Again,
so
right?
we will. That will be Monday night. The New Year's games, you start out with an Oregon Liberty game at 10 a.m. So it's effectively an 11 a.m. kick in Phoenix, Arizona, which is wild.
Which I think Liberty obviously is going to come into this game with all their force and might.
Yeah.
It means a lot to Liberty to come in and win this game, to continue their undefeated season. And I think it means a lot to Oregon in the fact that Bo Nix, Bucky Irving, a lot of their big-time
Are playing.
Troy Franklin, they are all playing. This is their last hurrah, so I think that Liberty is going to get the best Oregon team available. So I disagree with Miguel in the fact that I do think that this is an important game to both these teams. Their rosters are going to be full and strong, and I think it's going to be a fun game to watch. I do think that Oregon's going to handle it. I think when you see these Power 5 conference teams play some of these, lesser known conference teams, most of the time, the power conferences are going to win. But I just think that Oregon, like I've said all year, this is a good Oregon team. The fact that all these big-time players are coming back, it shows that it means something to them. And I would be hard-pressed to believe that Liberty is going to be able to pull off a win.
Both teams will obviously try, clearly. I just think the perception of the game is that if Liberty beats Oregon, it's because Oregon wanted to be in the playoff, and their motivation isn't all there. If Oregon runs over Liberty like we're expecting, it's because Liberty was never good enough to face a possible playoff team. That's how I view this bowl game.
Yeah, but I don't think that Oregon is scorned or spurned from not being in the playoff. I know they wanted to be, but it's not a surprise that they're not. Oregon now a 17.5-point favorite. It opened at 15.5 in favor of Oregon, so it's increased a couple. I think that effect was the uncertainty of Bo Nix at the time.
Well, and I think them deciding to play those three main players, I think it shows that this bowl game is important to them. If they were so disappointed by not making the playoff, then I think they probably wouldn't have played. They don't need to play. They're all going to have great draft positions and going to do well in the NFL. I think this shows that, hey, this is important to us. We do want to show that we're committed to Oregon, and we do want to finish with a win.
The game I'm most excited about is I want to see if Washington could keep up with Texas. I think it's going to be a fun game. Most exciting game that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I remember that opening line was, I think, 4. Is that correct? Let me look. The line for the Georgia FSU game is now at 16.5 in favor of the Bulldogs. And then now we have Texas at -184, Washington at +152. 4.5 is still your line for that game. And do we want to place any bets on that? Are you thinking it's Texas still?
I want Washington to win. I think Texas is better, but I don't know if I would bet on that game because I want Washington to be able to, I want to see them keep up, but I don't know who's going to win that game.
What about the Alabama-Michigan game? I would take Alabama.
That's also tough.
I'll take Alabama straight up. Either of you want that?
Going against Saban? That seems sacrilegious.
Take it, baby. Come on. We've only got a couple minutes left. You can't lollygag here.
I'll take Michigan.
Okay, let me give you guys the odds here.
We're taking it straight up. So.
We are taking it straight up, but I want to give people the updated odds. The Wolverines, a 1.5-point favorite with a very low 44.5 over.
Okay, how about this? Straight up, I'll take Michigan. You take Alabama, $20. I'll take Washington. You take Texas, $20.
Shake on it.
Straight?
Mm-hmm. Just both straight up.
So
both
I get Texas?
Games. Yeah.
And I get, okay.
Texas and Alabama.
All right.
$20 each.
$20 each,
Straight
so
up.
a total of $40 on the line.
Yeah.
Love it.
Woo! Grambling. Man, it's going to be fun. Almost forgot that was this week. I'm glad that we squeaked it in.
Yeah. College football, back.
Yeah, and then gone. And then gone for good.
But honestly, kind of coming into a new and fresh and exciting year of college football with the new playoff. I think the transfer portal being pretty instrumental into the workings of who's dominant this next year. Oregon having a top 5 recruiting class, being number 1, number 2, beating out Ohio State in the Big Ten. I think college football is going to be very, very fun this next
Also,
year.
heads up, I know we're coming to the end of football, and we're mostly a football-loving podcast, but bring that same energy for basketball because there's a lot of great, exciting things happening. And
We've got some good basketball takes to
great
have.
basketball,
I'm
NBA,
ready.
and college, because the whole transfer NIL is also happening in college basketball, and you have a lot of people staying. One-and-dones are kind of fading, and you have people transferring. It's going to be great.
If you guys thought that I have been spending the last week doing some basic popping level 1,
You have not.
you would be incorrect. I have not done that. Jimmy's Sports Bar and Grill. January 10th, 6 p.m. is when we kick things off. I will attempt to do something like that. So all of you people listening to us in all of those neighboring 18 countries in addition to the United States, book your tickets.
Would the live show be our first recording since playoffs?
No, it would be our second.
So
We will have, I think we'll have
the national championship.
We'll have the national championship. Yeah, we'll have the national
Yeah.
championship that week. And I think that we
Internally,
will
need to
have.
start sending some messages out to people and make sure we're going to have fans.
Yeah, and I think that we'll be going into
don't need to do
the
that. We gotta
playoffs as
follow
well. We'll be going into the NFL playoffs as well. So big week, a lot
Big
of
week.
stuff to talk about. But Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, boys.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. Love you all. Clear eyes.
Full heart.
Get loose.
So bad for you.